Welcome back to another episode of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. This is the podcast where we uncover profit leaks on every single episode. We want you to have a business that's not just busy, but one that's wildly profitable. And so here we go, unplugging another profit leak, or I should say, plugging another profit leak today. I'm your host, Diane Gardner. So happy to be with you. So thankful that you choose to spend part of your day with me. Today, I would like to talk about retention. Retention is a huge profit leak in most of the home service businesses that I work with. I see it on a regular basis. And once again, it's not sitting on your P&L report or your profit loss or your income statement, whatever your software calls it. There is no line on there that says customer retention profit leak. It just silently sits there and disappears. Now, for those of you who are familiar with our little mascot, Sneaky Leaky, just imagine him being so excited as he watches your customers forget about you. Wow, what a concept. Watching your customers forget about you. Sneaky Leaky's excited, but you should be worried. So let's talk a little bit about what can we do to plug this massive profit leak. You work so hard in your business. You're just constantly trying to get new leads, get those your CSRs to answer more calls and convert more calls. There's just so much pressure to keep building the business. Build, 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 sell more, sell more. Keep your installers rolling, keep your other techs going. If you've got roofers, keeping them rolling out there and getting those, customers taken care of. But what if I said it's cheaper to keep a current customer than it is to always be going after new ones? But when I'm working with home service businesses in my Profit Amplifier or even my Profit Transformer coaching groups, I see 90% or probably 95% of the effort being made on getting new ones and not necessarily keeping the old ones. So let's see if we can't come up with some ideas. I have a list of 20 ideas sitting here that I'd love to share with you. I've also created a customer retention checklist that we'll put down in the show notes. Be sure to grab it and help yourself to some of those ideas. I'd love to see you start implementing them. And then please reach out and let us know how it went. You can either reach out to us here at the podcast or you can find us on Facebook under Profit Coach for You. You can respond to an email if you're on our email list, but we'd love to hear how some of these ideas are working for your business. When customers forget about you, they drift away. And what does that mean the next time they need a job done? Well, they just drift over to one of your competitors. And you lose an opportunity for recurring revenue. You also diminish the lifetime value of that customer. So let's say you did a job for them that we'll just say $6,000. If you stayed in front of them and kept your name where they're always going to think about it, that $6,000 job over the lifetime of that customer could turn into 30,000. But if you don't stay in contact with them, that customer is only worth the $6,000 job that you did for them. So you can see right there, there's a lot of lost potential for revenue. And unfortunately, I see it all the time. And I've experienced it in my own life. If some of you have heard me talk of that several years back, we used a plumber in my office. Never have heard from him since. To this day, I couldn't tell you what his name is. I suppose I could go digging through my QuickBooks and probably figure it out. But when we needed a plumber just a few months ago, we started asking around and got the name of another plumber and we used him. Now, how sad that that first plumber didn't stay in contact with us in any way, shape, or form. Because when we needed a plumber, we definitely would have reached right out to him. He did a great job. He was a nice guy. He showed up, uh, but I don't know his name. I can't remember his name. And if I'm feeling that, other people are feeling it too, because I am your customer. And so, what could that have done to that particular plumber's revenue? It would not have cost him anything to reel me back in for another job. Now, I'm sure over the years, there's probably other jobs that we would have sent his way. As it was, we figured out another way to get them done, all because he didn't stay in contact with us. Couldn't tell you what his name is. Nice guy, couldn't tell you what his name is. And I'd like to pull this thought process over into kind of the profit first mindset. When we are thinking proactively and not reactively, it allows us to think ahead and plan ahead and protect the money that we're transferring into our profit account and our tax account and even our operating account. But we have to have that mindset shift of, instead of just going after new money constantly, what could we harvest from existing customers? Because there is gold in your customer list. When we're able to work with an existing customer, the acquisition cost is pennies. You've already got them as a customer. Yeah, it might cost you something to send them something occasionally, reach out to them, but it's pennies compared to what it is reeling in a new customer and building that know, like, and trust. As I mentioned earlier, Sneaky Leaky likes it when we get busy and we don't reach out to current customers. He thinks that's so much fun. The quick, easy way he can snag money out of your business. So let's talk about some of these retention ideas that I came up with you. First of all, I want to share a group of ideas that's all around building a personal connection. Now, here in my office, we do a lot of handwritten birthday cards and Thanksgiving cards and Christmas cards and get well cards and congratulation cards and baby cards and wedding cards. We are cardaholics in here. But consequently, we stand out from any other accounting or coaching firm out there because nobody else is doing that. It's too much work. But we've done it for the last 30 years. And our clients get that extra special little touch that nobody else is giving them. That's a pretty nice way to stand out. So, handwritten cards. When's the last time that you sat down and wrote a handwritten thank you card to somebody? I'm hoping it's not months or years. Because if you'll sit down and once a week write some handwritten thank you cards to that week's customers, what a difference that could make. I even had some made up in the form of a postcard so they could go out quick and easy. And we do them on a regular basis. A handwritten thank you card means so much. Yeah, it's one thing just to, put a thank you on the invoice or send an email or something, but it means so much more when it's a handwritten card. It just shows that you felt that they were important enough to sit down and do this. And maybe it's not even you personally. Maybe it's somebody on your team that is their job to write those handwritten thank you cards. Hopefully somebody with good handwriting. What about mailing postcards on a periodic basis? Mainly, the idea behind that postcard is just to keep your name top of mind. So maybe you're announcing something that's going on in your business, or you've hired somebody and added them to your team, and so you're sending out an announcement to your customers. Or maybe it's just wanted to keep in touch postcard. Maybe it's holiday themed. Whatever it might be, it's a reason for you to reach out and say, hey, we're still here. Don't forget about us. Next time you need something, give us a call. Just checking in on you. Want to make sure you're doing well. As I mentioned earlier, in my office, we send birthday cards and anniversary cards. Have you ever thought about doing that for your customers? Now, I know for us, it's easy to gather that data, but you should be able to gather that data as well and build out some of these more personal type relationships with them. And handwritten cards go a long ways towards that. How about some sort of a handwritten note? Now, I know most of you are doing your invoicing through a CRM, so it's a little harder to put a handwritten note on an invoice than it was back in the days when we had paper invoices. But if you do have a paper invoice, by all means, put a handwritten note, a handwritten thank you on it. Or how about some other type of handwritten note? Hey, you heard something about them. You saw that they moved and bought a new home. Whatever it might be, a handwritten note goes an awful long ways in building goodwill with those customers. So, this next group we're going to talk about is a group that will help strengthen the trust in your brand. What about writing a book? Now, if you look behind my head, you'll see the book that says Your Path to Profits and Stop Overpaying Your Taxes and the 10 most important mistakes that cost service businesses thousands. Those are books I've written. I'm in the process of writing 4 books currently. I will shortly have a book coming out for roofers, one for electricians, one for HVAC, and one for plumbing. Trying to position myself as the trusted expert. Well, you can do it too. It's not hard. It's actually pretty easy, especially if you have some blog articles that you've already been working on and you have them on your website. That's a great start to a book. Or hook up with somebody like myself. I'll interview you and we'll record it. And now you've got the beginnings of a book. Pretty cool stuff. And it's not that hard, not in today's world where you can self-publish. Pretty easy to get it put up on Amazon, or even if you don't want it on Amazon, just want it on your website, whatever you want. I've used a company called 48hourbooks.com for some of the books that I just really didn't want on Amazon, but I wanted to be able to use them as a lead magnet. It's a great way to position yourself and help let people see you as the authority in your industry. Are you publishing a newsletter? Consistency really builds familiarity. I saw a post on my Facebook page this last week where somebody that I met at an event probably at least 15 years ago, maybe 12, I don't know, somewhere back a long time ago anyhow. He put a post on my page where he had a stack of my newsletters. I actually mail my newsletters out. I don't do an email one because I want to stand out from what everybody else does. But he had every month's worth of newsletter from the time we started doing newsletters. I couldn't believe this guy had saved them all. And he was just making a comment on the valuable information that he gets from those newsletters every month. So newsletters have a long, or can have a very long life. Books have an incredibly long life. I've had people reach out to me 3, 4, 5 years later from when they got my book and ask me if they qualify to work with me at that point in time. Share some behind the scenes updates. What's going on in your company? Have you promoted somebody? Have you added a new person to your team? Have you moved to a new location? Have you won an award? All of those types of things are newsworthy. Are you celebrating an anniversary with your business, a 5-year, a 10-year? I know in my own business, we just celebrated a 30-year anniversary. That's a big deal. How many businesses make it to 30 years? How many make it to 5? So celebrate those things with your customers. Educate your customers with tips and resources. A great way to put these types of things into a newsletter or into an email that goes out periodically. Help them see your value just beyond the service call. Plug that price only loyalty leak where they compare you to other people and choose the lowest price. You don't want to be the low cost provider. But to be able to get the the higher fees you have to show other value. And this is one way of doing it. You're constantly hitting their inbox or you're mailing out a newsletter, whatever way you choose, but you're staying in contact with them over a long period of time. I've had people reach out 2 or 3 years after the point we had added them to our newsletter list, and now they were ready to do something, ready to start getting Profit First set up in their business. So they can have a very long life, which is amazing. So our next group creates a sense of belonging. Have you thought about launching some sort of a membership program? This has a twofold effect for you. Number one, it creates some kind of exclusivity. They belong to your whatever your name of your club is. It's an honor to be a part of this club, and they get some extra perks because of it. Well, this can also build recurring revenue for you. And it plugs that one and done job type thought because now they're part of a club and they get something for it. You have to get creative sometimes on what to put in your club. Or how about creating tiers in your business, with your top tier being your VIPs? You could reward their loyalty and give them exclusivity. They get first something, whether it's first on your call list, whatever it might be, guaranteed turnaround time of a certain amount of time, whatever it might be. But this plugs that customer drifting away leak because now they feel important. They're part of a club or they're at a certain tier and they have to get to the next tier, they have to do something. And then they get some rewards for that. I had a roofer in South Carolina that we put together a program like this. And he actually took his VIP customers out on the lake on his boat and had a fun day with them, spending out on the water with them. Wasn't huge for him, it wasn't a big, huge cost, but they worked hard to get to the point where they could hit his VIP level and be able to do that. How about hosting some sort of a client or customer appreciation event? This strengthens your ties to your community. It might be done in tangent with maybe your local chamber of commerce or BNI group or something like that. And it's another way to plug that transaction only relationship leak that so many of us have in our businesses. How can you celebrate customer milestones? Can you acknowledge their success? That means somebody keeping an eye on the local news, the local area. Have they received an award? Have they moved to a newer, bigger building? Did somebody get married? Did they have a baby? Any of those types of milestones are worthy of celebration. This is another idea that plugs that unnoticed or drifting away leak. Our next group is where we work to keep the relationship alive. This is where you might send seasonal greetings, and they really hit more when you choose seasons outside of just Christmas or something like that. If you can come up with things that coincide with other holidays throughout the year. If you look on the internet, you can find a holiday for pretty much every single day of the year. And so it becomes a fun way to reach out to celebrate some sort of a holiday. And that keeps you top of mind with them again. You might even offer something special because it's National Donut Day or whatever. Who knows? But get creative. Have fun with it. Let your customers see that fun part of you come through. Follow up after a service call. Anytime you do that, it prevents callbacks. It ensures that your customer satisfaction is staying where you want it to stay. And it plugs that we missed the upsell leak. So on that happy call or customer satisfaction call, maybe there's a couple questions that gets asked to see if there's anything else that you could do for them. How about coming up with a way to reward their referrals. Who are your top referrers? How can you reward them? Encourage word of mouth referrals and make a big deal of it, especially if you've got people sending you some good, solid referrals. By all means, let them know how much you appreciate them. There's gold right there in that relationship. So, rewarding referrals is another one. Or how about spotlighting some of your customers on social media? Celebrate them publicly. Plug plug the I don't feel appreciated leak. How can you come up with ways to do this? Is there somebody on your team who's creative and willing to take on the role of what I would call chief happiness officer? And coming up with these ideas of ways you can stay right in front of all your customers. Well, my next group is going to be under the grouping of surprise and delight. Have you ever thought about sending an unexpected surprise gift? Doesn't have to be anything big, but an unexpected gesture creates loyalty. And it goes even further when that unexpected gift is not branded with your logo. When you can customize it. I know my team and I have fun looking for ways we can customize things for our clients. We've discovered a website called Personalization Mall, and we go out there and we have fun coming up with things that we could customize to send to our clients. They're not getting something that has my name on it, they're getting something that has their name on it. And that really drives home that surprise and delight part of it. How about celebrating something with your customer? Is there some way that you can share in their joy? Now, this is fairly easy if they've had a new baby, or maybe they've adopted a child, or they've got a child who graduated from high school or college or something along those lines. Celebrate with them. Try to really be paying attention to them as much as you can. Here again, that chief happiness officer type person in your business can really help with this. How about building a customer feedback loop? Somebody that's really listening to what they have to say and letting that client feel that they have been heard. In today's society, people really want to be heard. We're all so busy. There's so many messages flashing in our face all the time, and it feels like nobody's listening. Everybody's talking, but nobody's listening. Well, what if you listened? Or somebody on your team actually listened and then suggested ways that you could implement some of their ideas, the customer's ideas. How about investing in retention marketing? This is a great way to keep your current clients engaged. Marketing to your existing customers. Not all of your marketing is outbound. Some of it is inbound to your current customers. What would that do to the lifetime value of that customer? I bet it would strengthen it and grow it dramatically. So to wrap this up, retention isn't just good manners, it's a profit strategy. I'd like to challenge you to go down that list. I just gave you 20 ideas. To go down that list and pick 2 or 3 that you could implement before the end of the year. As we're recording this, we're in fourth quarter of 2025. How about if you started implementing a couple of these and tracking the results from it? Now, the results are not going to happen overnight. It does take some time. Things like a newsletter or a book, they take time, but that's okay because you're not in it for the short haul. You're in it for the long run. Speaking of writing a book, for those of you that have salespeople out calling on prospects and new customers, how would it look if this book was wrapped up in a nice box with some tissue paper and stuff around it and a beautiful sticker on the front, and that was given to them as if it was a real gift. Wow, you just made a wow factor there. That's something that nobody else in your world is doing, but you could be doing it. What would that do to your sales? Would it increase them? I bet it would. Would you get top dollar for what you're doing? Potentially. You wouldn't get beat up on price as much because you created a wow experience. And sometimes we forget about creating an experience for our customers and our clients. We just go and do the job and get it done and get out of there. But creating an experience is something we want to think about. So, as I said at the beginning of the program, I created a customer retention checklist. We'll put it down in the show notes so you can reach out and grab that list of these 20 ideas that I just talked about and sit down with your team and pick 2 or 3 of them and see which ones you can implement quickly before we hit the end of the year. It might make a huge difference on setting you up for higher profits and more success for 2026. Remember, it's not how much you make that's the important number. It's how much you keep. And keeping those profits is so hard. I know you guys are great at what you do. It's hard to hold on to that money. I talk to home service businesses constantly. They might be doing millions of dollars, but their bottom line is not as high as they want it to be. So I'd like to encourage you, take these ideas as well as other profit leaks that you've heard from us, and let's plug them. Let's help you keep more of your profits. We've got coaching programs. We've got a boot camp running where we're helping home service businesses actually implement profit first into their business. It's all about implementation and accountability. So we have services here for you. Let us help you. Let us come alongside you and walk with you and help you with the accountability and the implementation side. Thank you again for joining me for another episode. I'm so happy that you chose to tune into my podcast because it's important for us to be thinking about all these different ways that profit leaks out of your business. So, with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode and we'll catch you on the next one. Be sure and catch that customer retention checklist down in our show notes. Thank you again. I'm Diane Gardner for the Profitable Home Services Podcast. Bye bye.